For decades, local media companies believed that if they had the audience, the advertisers would follow. But that equation is changing and changing fast. Small businesses are no longer the marketing novices they once were. Many now build their own websites, run their own social media campaigns, and increasingly rely on artificial intelligence to plan, execute, and analyze their marketing. According to new data from Borrell Associates, roughly 60% of small businesses are using AI tools for marketing tasks. So what does this mean for local media sales teams trying to sell advertising today? To help us unpack that and understand this shift, I'm joined by someone who's been tracking the evolution of local advertising for decades. Gordon Borrell is CEO of Borrell Associates, one of the most respected research firms studying the local advertising economy. His team has spent years analyzing local businesses, how they spend money, how they treat their marketing dollars, and more importantly, he translates that and what it means for newspapers, broadcasters, digital publishers, and more. Gordon, you've been on the show 7 times prior to this visit. I think Jarvis is only at 5, so you're the leader. Welcome back. It's been a year. You were here in May of last year, but welcome back to the program, sir.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here and talk with you, Mike. You're entertaining, you're interesting, and I got it right up front. I know I've told you this every time. I'm just so impressed by what you're doing with Editor and Publisher. It comes, I read it. It's a great, great magazine, and it's really helped propped up and more than that, educate the industry. So good job with that.
Mac, hashtag blushing. Thank you. My word. And I didn't even have to pay for that. Gordon, let's get back to work. Your latest data suggests that selling advertising to local businesses has become significantly harder than it used to be. And interestingly, it's not because businesses aren't spending money. In fact, the local economy is growing. So when we come back, we'll talk about why advertising has become harder to sell for traditional media and what publishers need to change immediately if they want to compete in today's local media ecosystem. I'm Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P Magazine. This is E&P Reports. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Walter Hussman. Our family has been in the news business for over 100 years. Journalism includes 2 parts, reporting the news and providing opinions. But in recent years, there's been too much opinion appearing in news reporting. This has eroded public trust in news reporting to the lowest level of any U.S. institution. To address this, we started a nonprofit, the Center for Integrity in News Reporting.
The Center for Integrity in News Reporting, CFINR, is on a mission to rebuild public trust in journalism, one newsroom and one classroom at a time. We champion the effort to have news organizations and journalism schools create and prominently display their own clear, concise statements of core journalistic values. Learn more by visiting the Center for Integrity and News Reporting site at cfinr.org.
All right, Gordon, let's start with the headline. It's buzzing. It's been coming out all over the place since you just did your webinar. You're saying local advertising is becoming harder to sell for traditional media. What's changed in the marketplace?
Well, the significant thing that's changed is very subtle for media companies, and that is it's the composition of businesses in the marketplace that are the backbone of media. They're advertisers, right? The businesses that buy advertising. And the subtle shift that's occurred, you can see it in all the BLS data, Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's shifted from people that sell goods and services, and there's still people selling goods and services, but think about it. Jewelry, shoes, clothing, even furniture, you can now buy it online. You're buying a lot of stuff online. So it's become harder and harder for those traditional retail outlets, which have been big supporters of newspapers and TV and radio for that matter. And it shifted more toward a services economy. Stuff where people actually have to show up and do something, fix your plumbing, right? Or put a roof on your house, or do landscaping, or personal care, or health care, things that you have to show up in person for. That's changed. And the problem, Mike, is that when businesses start out and new businesses are created, and there have been a lot since the pandemic, 1.7 million net new businesses, and of that probably there are probably over 4 or 5 million that are new. So there's a net that some that have collapsed. They tend to buy targeted advertising and sit at the very low end of the funnel and buy Google keywords and targeted banners and things like that. So your sales reps don't see them.
All right, let's talk about now that you're claiming 60% of small businesses are using AI for marketing tasks. What kind of things are these businesses actually using AI for today?
Well, they're using it for all kinds of things, but the more important part for this conversation really is what they use it for marketing. So they're using it to hire, using it to figure out some, whether a 3D printer would work for their business, whatever the business is. So all those things, let's put them aside, just talk about marketing. The biggest number one task most of them are using it for is content creation, and that intersects an awful lot with marketing. It might be content creation for their website or for their Facebook page or for a flyer they're going to put on windshields out in the parking lot. They also use it for marketing recommendations, and this is where it gets a little dangerous, a little slippery. I'm a clothing store in Tucson, sells women's sports clothing, and my total revenue is $600,000 a year. Where is my best bet to place advertising that will help me generate sales? So we asked that question across Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, etc. And so 5 different AI engines, and got different answers, but there were some commonalities to the answers. And one of the commonalities was outdoor is the best place to buy advertising for outdoor. Well, hold on. Then it also named some outdoor companies. Then it gave some links to those outdoor companies.
This was AI.
How did that happen?
This wasn't paid. This was AI pushing outdoor companies. This is amazing.
No. This was AI companies. I'm sorry, this was outdoor companies being smart enough to create websites that look like advertising sites around Tucson or Duluth or Orlando. And it had all kinds of information. It was SEO based. It had all kinds of information. So ChatGPT goes, oh, Tucson advertising, oh, this site right here, and then a little bit later into the site, about a quarter to a halfway into the site, it talks about what its sponsor is, what it who put together the information, Lamar. Or Clear Channel or whomever. So my point is not to say that, well, outdoor is really smart. They didn't do that thinking about AI. They did that for search engine optimization years ago. AI is picking up whatever the hell it sees in you could say it's a biased way. Maybe it's a non-biased way because it goes, I don't care about outdoor, but here's some information. So the point, Mike, is that the AI engines do have to be trained. Advertisers don't realize that. And they're blindly going, hey, is this good or bad?
But that makes sense because Lamar doesn't create a lot of local content. Lamar creates advertising platforms, and most of the people listening to this show who run a newsroom or a brand use their sites to promote their content first and have very little information about advertising. So it makes sense that AI would say to a local business, hey, where should I advertise? They would find those sites. That's fascinating. Let me ask you this. The report, I'm going to quote from the report to you now. You say that the small businesses are much more sophisticated today than a decade ago. You've been claiming this every year. I remember your pie charts at your conferences showing how they were novices and they became experts. Where are we today? What is the percentage, and how smart are these decision makers at SMBs today, Gordon?
Can't tell you how smart they are, but I can tell you the amount of experience they have. And if you trust that experience, equates to intelligence, it's a pretty good bet. You can be skeptical about it, but it's based on the theory that masters have worked at more than 10,000 hours at something, which I believe is roughly 4 to 5 years on a full-time job. Doing the same thing over and over. You should go do something else if you're not already a master after 5 years of doing something over and over and over and over again. The other thing that you have, Mike, and this is remarkable, back in 2014, I believe it was, there were more advertising sales reps than there were internal marketing people at local companies.
Really?
Yeah. local ad sales reps. Today, there are 3 times as many marketing people at local companies making marketing decisions, 3 times as many as there are local ad sales reps. So local businesses have been hiring and hiring and hiring, out of necessity. They need somebody to manage their Facebook page and, put stuff on Instagram and compose, do search engine optimization, learn all this stuff. And so they've been hiring people. Most of these people are in their 20s or 30s and have Apple iPhones and can do everything, right? And
Right.
so when you go to them trying to sell a newspaper ad, what do you think they're going to say? It's like, what? Nobody reads a newspaper. Nobody listens to radio. Nobody watches TV. What are you talking about?
So is
So
this why you
that's what you're
is
up
this why you
against.
excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. So is this why you quote in the report call them DIY marketers now, where they simply don't need the assistance like the old days? Let me help you do this. They're doing this all on their own now. Is that correct?
Well, I wouldn't say that they don't need the assistance. They don't know that they need the assistance. They probably in there somewhere know. But yeah, they can do a lot of it on their own. The fallacy is that, hey, if all I need to do is Google keywords, a Facebook page, some Instagram stuff, and a little bit of other reach out, maybe some direct mail, but they'll live at the bottom of the funnel and they're not doing any type of branding or any other softening up of the market. It's like there's this giant frickin' carnival and they're all, gathered at the gate, saying, you got to come over here to the Tilt-A-Whirl. You got to go here. Nobody's advertising. We've got the best funnel cakes coming to town, hands down. Good housekeeping, seal of approval. Come to the carnival. So when people come in the gate, they go, yeah, thank you. I'm going to the funnel cake booth, right? That's branding. Nobody's doing that. And once you teach these people, I'm going to unfairly characterize them as younger people. They're not all, but more than likely younger marketing interns that are mastering AI pretty quickly, probably faster than you in the marketing sense, and learning everything. What they don't know is broader stuff about the market. And they probably don't know a whole lot about branding. Maybe they know a little bit.
All right. So I, I spent years at hundreds and hundreds of local media companies around the world selling Toma, top of mind. It all boiled down to me saying to a business, you got to feed the engine, you got to do an ad every single week, or you got to be out on the website all the time to do what you just said. But in your report, you're saying they're not buying reach anymore. They're buying proof. And the hardest thing when you sell that top of the funnel, brand build is there is no cash register ringing instantly. How do you square that circle for our media companies listening and watching right now?
Um, well, it's education, and education is, not somebody reading something in 1 or 2 sentences and learning about it. It's something that takes a little bit of time. And unfortunately, there's just a whole lot of impatience because of the swipe phenomenon built into marketing. If something doesn't work within a week, they're on to something else. So there has to be an education that says, here's some stats. The radio industry has done a fantastic job of this. I'm not sure the newspaper industry has. But on the RAB's website, Radio Advertising Bureau, they have a whole series of articles and information about how radio added to social media campaigns or other digital campaigns and their case studies, significantly increases the lift and ROI and sales. And it actually makes a whole lot of sense, at least for the advertiser to try it once. And that's really all you need. Get them to try it once, work really hard, make sure it works. But it is proven that branding media combined with, I keep calling a bottom of the funnel campaign where people are leaning forward, ready to buy something, does increase the total brand awareness, memory recall, total sales, et cetera, clicks, et cetera. So it will increase pretty significantly that digital campaign when you add traditional media to it. You've got to educate them. They know you're biased, and be aware of that. Be very careful. You want to sell newspaper advertising, magazine advertising, whatever it is, radio, et cetera. But be fair and just say, look, at least try this. Here's the case studies. Convince them. Be their friend. Help them in areas that, aren't going to completely, immediately, directly benefit you. they're trying to do a good job for the boss. They're trying to move the needle. They're trying to make sales. If they're the boss, they're probably more confused about marketing because they got other things to do. Be their friends. I think the only role, here's a dramatic statement, Mike. I think the only role for a successful media company that wants to make sufficient money off advertising to pay the salaries is to turn their sales reps into trusted advisors that also sell instead of sellers that, also happen to be trusted advisors.
Which is something you said on a stage, I think, 20 years ago. Nothing's.
Yeah. I keep saying the same thing over and over again.
All right, so
people are listening.
What I have to say is, now the absurdity. I'm an old sales guy, as you know. I mean, I spent over 30 years selling media, starting with AM radio. So let's get into this now. You said it. Now let's nail it. There is 2/3 of the sales force missing now for all traditional media, the radio, television, newspapers, outdoor, in the last 10 years. Only 1/3 of the sellers remain. Doesn't it just seem absurd? And maybe I'm wrong, that when you cut back expenses, the last thing you should cut back is feet on the street right now?
Well, of course, but it's not as easy as that, Mike. You can't just hire, you go, oh, well, this person can fly a plane. We'll put them in the F-15, right? No, they can fly a Piper. So it's hiring the right salespeople, and that's always been difficult. It's not as easy to say, well, hire more salespeople and the revenue will come. No, it's a lot more complicated. But I do think that if you just step way back and really understand what's going on, write it down so you don't forget it, because you'll just go back to doing the same thing once you forget this podcast. All right, you go, oh, that's interesting. You go back doing the same thing. That the world has changed. Advertisers are smarter. They think they're smarter than you, and they're not. They're just not. They are absolutely confused, perplexed. They're trying to master all this digital media, and they're looking for experts. I don't think it's such a bad thing that there are fewer sales reps. That just means that the ones out there actually have bigger opportunity if they do things right.
I agree completely. So we got to bring this thing home. Here comes the question, and you might be weaving in the things you've just said throughout the last 18-minute journey together. You got the job. Jeff Bezos, Stuart Bainum gave you $1 billion and said, you're running this local media company, Gordon. Shut that company down in the research world. You're in charge now. You're pulling all the levers. If you were running a local media company today, I want you to bullet for this audience, what would you do to change the advertising strategy and find some of that critical top line money we need to find that sustainability model of today?
Absolute cost. The first thing I would do would be to find out the composition of businesses in my market, which has changed. It changed yesterday. It changed a year ago. It changed 5 years ago. And over the course of 5 years, it's changed a lot. Your sales reps don't know who to call on. They think they do, but they're using the old obsolete eyes and ears method. I drove past a billboard and I saw a personal injury attorney. I heard this person on the radio. I saw this person, direct in direct mail and a mail piece. I'm going to go after them. Higher stores, they're always really good agents. No. Find out where the money is. Whenever we show people with our data where, who's spending what in the market and how much money is being spent, they don't believe us. It's been true for years, except if they're really smart and really doing well, they understand, well, it's really about the data. This data comes from somewhere. It's not being made up. Why are real estate agents spending more than automobile dealers in Cincinnati? Let's go find out why. Who's the biggest spender in OTT, which we're selling? Why is it? So number one, first thing to do is sync up the sales force with the customer base, particularly the ones they don't know. Exactly. Because it's a gold mine. There are so many businesses where no rep has ever knocked on the door and they're dying for one too. But you keep going after the same ones again and again. Let's go after the HVAC guys. The HVAC guys are in decline. Does anybody really know that? You're hitching your wagon to a falling star. And everybody's going after HVAC, but they're in decline because HVAC is cyclical. Cyclical as in every 10 to 15 years cyclical. We're in the down period. So people don't know that. Once you use data and hook up the data and the stuff that's really happening in the marketplace, instead of this obsolete gut-based method of prospecting, you're not going anywhere. Sure, content's absolutely important. Our discussion here is about advertising and marketing. We could have another discussion about content and how you need to develop great content, develop an audience, sure. But if you don't nail that advertising portion of it, you have the greatest content in the world and your business sucks and it's going to go down the tubes because you got no money to pay the salaries.
Gordon Borrell, you always wake up the industry every time we have you on the show. You're CEO of Borrell Associates. I invite everyone to go to the website and just glean the research that's there, which you do offer a lot of your stuff for free. Thank you. And those podcasts and all that and more. We'll offer links to that on the landing page as well. Gee, it's always an honor and pleasure to have you. Thanks for sharing today.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show. You're doing a great job. Like I said, keep on keeping on, man.